December 21, 2023. This is the S&P 500 E-Futures Mini on the 2000 tick chart using the NinjaTrader 8 platform. There's probably two pieces of economic data that came out today, which is at 5:30 Pacific Standard, which is about right here, right before this gigantic spike up occurred. It was the final GDP numbers and the unemployment claims. So the way I saw the charts today, this is the pre-market highs and then the pre-market lows, and there's the midline. And it looked like prices were mainly range bound. It didn't really rally in one strong direction or another. There was a substantial, lot of movement, but it was mainly in the swings. I took a total of 3 trades today and was green on all three. The volume was definitely higher today than it has been in the last, well, pretty much the last week, last Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So today there was quite a bit of movement and quite a bit of volume. So I'm going to get into the trades right now. So this is a pre-market. Pre-market, it created what looked like two measured legs, one leg up, consolidated and create a second leg up. This is where I drew the pre-market highs, and at the time I thought this potentially kind of played out and there might be a sell-off here, which is already starting, as you can see here. Now I was wondering if it was going to come back and touch the bottom the other side. So then the market opens. Prices are moving along. It's very, very tight bars right now. So these are very small and they're next to each other. Prices move up, and I think I see a range here. So it looks like it's respecting some kind of resistance up here. Prices move down, and I drew where I thought the obvious support would be here, and it did look like it was respecting it for some time. You do have a second entry long here. It's a first entry long, second entry long, but this is kind of in the middle of the range, so it's kind of in the middle of nowhere. On top of that, if the signal bar was a little bit better, I might have considered it. The thing I don't like is since it went from the top to bottom back to the top, there's a good chance it's going to come back to the bottom. But it kind of went back up to the top before it came back to the bottom. But you don't know that at the time. You have a failed breakout here. You do have a new low, first entry short, second entry short. It's a terrible signal bar, so I didn't want to go short. You do have a new high, first entry long, second entry long. Again, the signal bar is a little iffy. Also, it didn't make it all the way to the bottom, so I'm wondering if there's going to be one leg or at the time if it's going to continue downwards. So left that alone. This is actually where I take my first trade. I saw this as a new low. It's a first entry short, second entry short, and it created this lower high. Now, it's coming off of the rejection off the top of this range. So I'm thinking prices are probably going to move back down, and it's confirming the second entry short. But when I saw this as a potential lower high, it was kind of, even though the EMA doesn't really matter, I wanted to kind of close a little bit more lower. So I waited. And plus, you really don't know if this is a lower high or if there's another lower high that's going to be printed. So here it actually prints lower, and I thought, okay, there's potentially a trade here. So I actually entered one tick below this guy for a quick scalp, and I was able to get out. And I was, in hindsight, rather lucky because this is very congested. And as you can see, if I hung out for a little bit longer, I probably would have gotten stopped out by this candle because my stop was probably above here. So I would have survived this one and then gotten hit on this one. But it wasn't the best setup to have taken in the first place. So then prices keep moving. It comes back down. I do see a second entry short here. It's a new low, first entry short, pulls up. It creates the second entry short here. The second entry short, it's after the break of this green down channel. So I'm looking for another low test, but I was unsure if since it touched the bottom of the range as it played out and it's going to move back to the top now. The first entry short, second entry short. Now, the second entry short, I saw the rejection by this EMA as a good sign, but I really wasn't sure because, as I said, I didn't know if the strength of this bottom support is enough to propel prices back to the top of the range. So I wasn't really sure, so I just had to kind of sit and wait because they're just conflicting ideas. Prices then continue down, it breaks out, it falls into this orange channel, and then later I drew this yellow channel to encapsulate all this price action because I thought it's a bigger channel for prices to move in. I don't really see anything that looks good. There is a new low here, first entry short, second entry short. The problem with the second entry short is although the EMA is holding and it's rejecting prices, There's two key entry points. I didn't like the fact that this was an inside bar. I needed one of two things to happen. I needed this to close pretty much at the lows if it wanted to make it the bottom, or I needed to actually have ticked one tick below. So that was what was stopping me. Perhaps a more experienced trader would have probably seen this as a potential second entry short to take the trade, but I wasn't sure, so I didn't even mark it. I just watched it. And here it looked like it wouldn't have worked even for 1 point because you're going to enter, let's say, at even conservatively 47.75.25. The low is 47.74.50, so it's only three ticks. So it would have stopped shy and then reversed on you. So after seeing this, I was actually kind of happy I didn't take the trade. I was debating when I did see this reverse, did I miss a failed second entry short? Because first entry short, second entry short failure. But again, I'm running into the EMA, and just one candle ago, I was thinking of going short on this continuation down. So to suddenly think that it's going to break through this, the yellow down channel, is kind of this reversal in thinking that I'm not experienced enough or seen enough to quickly think to go to the other side. So I left it alone and turned out to be all right. And I do see a higher low here. It's the first short, second short, pull back, and it creates a higher low. I draw this green channel. Well, when these three touched already, I had this green channel up. And where this midline is actually where I had the top of my channel. Then when it broke out above, I was wondering if it's a failed breakout or if the channel is actually dragged up to here. But I did see a higher low here. Now this higher low, it's confirming the failed second entry short. It has this really strong bullish push after this huge red candle down. So I wasn't 100% clear yet. I saw this, and I certainly wasn't thinking going long. Then after this closed, it felt like maybe the trade's already been lost because if you enter here, it feels like it's already kind of close to the top. So I really didn't know if it was going to have enough power to push up even further. Looks like it would have worked for a 1 point scalp and then would have continued moving up. So as the prices move up, I drew this orange channel to kind of capture this part of the leg. And then it kind of reverses and I capture it in this yellow channel. You have a first entry long here, second entry long here. Nothing here would tell me to be prepared to take a long. I drew this line because I was wondering if this is some kind of support resistance and whether this could have been the bottom of another trading range that I didn't quite see at the time. So I'm watching and waiting. Prices continue. Here you have a new low. It's a first entry short, second entry short. The second entry short isn't very, it doesn't give me much confidence because there was no good signal bar to make me think of taking a second entry short. So then I tried to think the other way. Perhaps there's a failed second entry short here. It does, it fails, it flashes up, but here I only had three touches at the time. I wasn't 100% sure, but once this formed, I was pretty confident prices are probably trading in this green up channel. The first entry short, second entry short, I thought, okay, well, after this close, you definitely don't want to take a long now. You have to wait for a pullback. And even when the second entry short formed and it failed, it was below the EMA. EMA is a little unreliable at this point, but I wasn't 100% sure. So I had to sit and wait for potentially a higher low. And this taking an entry here, this is a gigantic candle. It's about, I think, a 3.5 point risk. Yeah, this is actually a 4 point candle. So this is actually quite large. Here creates a higher low, and this is actually where I take my second trade. It's confirming the second entry short failure. It's bouncing out the bottom of this green channel. I felt there was enough room to get to the top, and I saw this area here very similar to this one right here because you had a first entry short, second entry short pullback, which is above the EMA, comes back down. EMA barely holds and it pushes really strongly in this green candle. So I saw the same thing. I saw first short, second short pushes really strong above the EMA, just like this guy. It's coming back down now. This one's noted that this is a larger setup than this one, but it came back down, and this one closed the low of this candle. This one's closing at the high. So I felt there was an entry here. I entered right at the high of this candle instead of one tick above. Because I opened, it was flashing around, moved up, I entered, it came back, picked me up, and then quickly gave me my scalp. So this is a trade that I thought, okay, this is good enough because there's enough room to this high. And it looked very similar to this setup. Prices then continue moving down. I do see a new high. It's a first entry long pullback. This creates a second entry long, and maybe this is trade. because this is after the break of this green channel. So you're thinking it might want to test the high. So it's one push up, pull back, potentially a second push up happening. So if you did enter, I mean, it feels a little congested. So I didn't really quite like it, but it felt like you could have maybe considered it and it would have worked out. However, in my view, it could be one leg down, pull up, a second leg down. So I just wasn't really super 100% sure. So I'd leave it alone. So here I look back and I noticed price action has been kind of choppy. But originally I thought we're in a range. It looks like we're kind of playing in the top of the range. There's these big swings, it's moving back and forth. So I'm just trying to be patient because I already got 2 wins and I didn't want to screw this up. Noted that the first trade here was probably a little riskier because it is a little bit unclear. So I'm watching again. Prices move down, goes in this orange channel, breaks out. I don't have this green channel drawn yet. It gets choppy here, comes up. I see this and I drew this as a potential top of the trend line resistance, and this is a potential support. It almost touches, but depending on how you drew it, you could have one touch, two touch, three touch. You do have like second entries all over the place, but they don't set up in a way that's clean that I like. So it's like first entry short, second entry short. No, you technically have a new low here, first entry short, second entry short. This is a pretty strong signal bar. I mean, this is a pretty bad signal bar. And then when this occurs to create your second entry, I don't know, it wouldn't give me much confidence to go short yet so early in the trade. I do see a new low here. It's a first entry short, second entry short failure. Second entry short failure is the first break of this green down channel, but this green down channel is rather large. So even though that's rather large, I still thought that there's a chance that it could come back down. So even though it's a failed second entry short here, it technically hasn't failed yet. Then it confirms the failure here, but now it doesn't feel like there's any trade left to take because the move has already been made. So it's definitely something you just have to wait for a higher low. And the higher low does show up right here, but it's too far from the trade now. But then, excuse me, this higher low shows up here, but you don't really know it's a higher low, comes back down. Here, you still don't know if it's a higher low, and then now confirms a higher low. And you also have a visual first entry short, second entry short failure. Let me just correct that. Failed second entry short visual, but it felt like to take this trade, the move has already been made. So it's like you have to just pretty much leave it alone. The setup wasn't the best. On top of that, it looked like it made 2 legs up already. So you're thinking maybe the uptrend's played out. It might be coming back down. I drew this yellow channel at the time, but it doesn't feel very strong. It literally only has 2 touches and doesn't have a third touch. So it's something I saw, but I don't think there was really anything there. Prices move up, kind of chops around, consolidates a bit, flashes back down. At first, this orange channel was a little bit tighter. Then I eventually dragged it down here to encapsulate this, and I saw it as potentially a 2-tier channel. Prices look like they're kind of bottoming, or at least finding support here. Breaks above, the EMA comes back down. It clearly looks like it's in range now. I actually tried to take this trade. So what I see here is a new high. It's a first entry long, pullback, second entry long. So at this point in time, there's a confirmed second entry long. I also saw this as a new low here. The first entry short, second entry short. The second entry short has failed. Now, at the time, I actually dropped in an order. I actually didn't drop in an order yet because I wanted to see what the next candle was going to do. But I was thinking, I think this, since it already touched the bottom, touched the top, touched the bottom, it's probably going to make its way back up to the top. So I was thinking long. So I waited. When this flashed up, I actually tried, when it was bouncing around, I tried to drop my order in at the high of this red candle. And if I had it, immediately, drop my order right here, there's a good chance I would have gotten filled because it actually opened one tick lower and then it flashed up. But I hesitated too long, dropped it in. I didn't want to chase it, and I watched it move up 2 points and hit the top, and I knew I just had to cancel the order. That was probably pretty good because it looked like it would have flashed down, giving you a lot of shock, and then this candle very likely would have stopped me out. Then prices continue moving, chops left and right. falls into this consolidation area. It's kind of choppy trading right now. Breaks out, there's a fail breakout, moves up, continues to consolidate. I don't like this price action because it's just dojis here. It slowly moves up on this yellow channel. You do have a second entry long here, but it's a bad signal bar. It falls on this yellow channel, and that's what I'm playing off of. So what I do see here is a new high, clearly new high, first entry long, pullback. It's about to make a second entry long, but I also saw this as a new low, first entry short, pullback, second entry short. Now, everything depends on this next candle, because if it prints up higher and pushes up, it's going to potentially confirm the second entry long and confirm the failed second entry short. So when it opens, it's actually at the same place that this guy closed. It flashed up a little bit. At the time, I thought, okay, definitely confirmed. I was early. I jumped in at the highs. I was very lucky on this trade because it filled, and I didn't have this trading range established, or I didn't think about it yet. I was just thinking prices just came off the bottom of this yellow channel. It should make it push its way up to the top of this yellow channel. So definitely it was riskier, and it is near the highs. So I was lucky to get out of this trade. But as you can see, it looked like it would have worked for another point, but I'm just glad for that 1 point quick scalp because this was a riskier trade. And if I still stayed in it for more, then I would have gotten stopped out for sure. Prices then continue choppy, and it just kind of moves into the last 30 minutes. There is another second entry long here, but it's a bad signal bar. Nothing else besides this second entry long. It's telling you to go long. It just feels risky. And of course, it then just keeps chopping. You do have a new high. These triple test here, new high. First entry long, second entry long. Again, there's nothing here telling you or convincing me to take long. And it kind of goes into the last 10 minutes and into the close. I did see this as a final setup, but it's way too late in the day. The new high, first entry long, second entry long, this is relatively decent. If this was kind of earlier in the day, I may have considered taking the trade depending on what the context of was previously. But it is pushing above the pre-market now, and it didn't quite touch the EMA, but it almost touched and confirmed this orange channel up. So there's something I marked, but nothing really worth taking, especially when there's only 2 minutes left in the trading day. So that's how I saw the markets today. Tomorrow, I anticipate it might be kind of slow going into the holiday, so I may or may not take any trades or even bother trading. So hopefully that was helpful.